Yo, yo, yo!
Hello.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's round 6 of the South Coast GT 2018, where it's about to get super exciting, and we're going to see who's actually going to pick the podiums up. It's been an interesting day so far, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has been, yeah.
Yep.
Some interesting matchups, some winners and losers.
Yep.
Great to see some of the armies. A nice mix up the top, unless you're a Destruction fan.
Yeah.
But everything else seems to be representing, which is good.
Yeah, Destruction have had a bit of a bad time here. There's not too many at the event. But we have had, 2 years of people moaning that Def can't compete, and we've had a couple of them.
Seem like they're in a good place now.
Yep. In fact, just in front of us here, Def with Nagash are actually on table 1. So we're going to talk you guys through just a little bit about the games that are going on and have a bit of a prediction. If we don't run over anybody as we do this, we're going to go and have a bit of a look. So yeah, on table 1, you've actually got Nagash versus the Vanguard wing.
Yeah.
Which is a formation from the book, from the Battle Tome, if you haven't seen it before. So, Russ, what do you think on this one? How do you think this is going to go?
It's interesting. We're playing Total Conquest, so Liberators potentially can just trump and score early on, and when you take an objective back, you get 2 points. So with Nagash, he doesn't have a lot of bodies. Jack's committed to one side of the table early to try and take that point. It looks like Pete's countered and he's charged Nagash into the big unit of Liberators. I'm not sure that's the right play. I think I probably would have sent him to try and clear up the backfield and go for some of the easy to get objectives over a long-term game. He probably could clear off all the Judicators and buff pieces and characters, which is what the Vanguard unit relies on. Then maybe use the Grave Markers and one of the units of, I think, the Grave Guard to come across and clear the Liberators out and grind them off over the game. With the Grave Markers,
they were talking about potentially whether there was the turn roll was going to be big, and looking at it, Jack's taking his turn, so I'm guessing that he's won that, or they're still in the turn they were talking about. I had a quick chat before we come on mic, but going to be interesting.
I'm not sure. I'll find out how it pans out over the game, but I think Jack's playing the game on Pete's objectives, and that's always a good sign. So it's always a good way to win a game is you playing on their objectives. You're not in danger yourself. So
no, and board controls is so important in this game. Even if he does grind through those, it's going to be one of the things that the Nagash list. You and I talked about this off mic. We've both appreciated some of the Nagash play so far. Is that you can't afford to make a mistake with it.
You've got so little very units. Unforgiving. We've got Nagash armies at the bottom tables, mid tables, top tables. Ricky was talking to him before the round started, and he said to me that he had an incident in his game where he just left one unit out of 9 inches of a character. Which would potentially mean he couldn't heal them, and then that meant that he could have lost the game on that, and he had to just basically chuck Nagash and Vordry in and hope that he just did enough damage to win, and he managed to do it. And he said it was completely his own fault, with just a little bit of misplay. And I think that's what's really appealing to me for Nagash. It seems like a real player's army. It's great to see Pete Scully. You know, man's been around the scene for years and done really well, and you know he's sort of representing the old school of Warhammer with his great conversion, which I think sort of harkens back to the Gary Morley sculpt of Nagash from back in the day. It has got
that look, hasn't it?
It's got that
evil
sort of psycho
face.
Clown look, which I really like. Actually, I think it's a really cool conversion because actually she's Mortarian as a base, and I think it's looks really good.
Yeah, and what you probably can't see from the shots necessarily is the actual skeletons themselves are one of my favourite parts of the army. They're sort of the old skeletons from maybe 5th edition. And they're all converted sort of Chaos Warriors. They've got spears going through them and all that kind of stuff. There's quite a few of them dead at the moment, but
exactly.
as you would expect against this type of army. So, but no, the Nagash is interesting. I think Jack's going to be in a good position, I think, with this, but it's
a lot of game to play.
Yeah,
it's turn 1. Who knows what's going to happen?
I'd love to see Def take out the South
I would
Coast
be
GT.
ecstatic if Nagash could take, in an importance event, take the crown.
Yeah, that's
true.
Amazing. Yeah, well, you can't see as well. So we've got. We're showing you, going to show the top 4 tables here, but actually on 5, 6, 7, 8, there's also there's another Nagash, and there's a Arthur's playing triple Mortark.
Isn't he? Really interesting list.
Yeah.
So he's playing against the Maggot King army, which might be quite tough, but triple Mortarks. I mean, who thought that would be a list that would be up around the top tables? I mean, it's just. He said to me at the beginning of the event. I spoke to him first thing on Saturday morning. And he said to me, I said, what have you know? I don't know, even Friday night. And he was going, what have you got? And he goes, I was just taking all the Mortarks, bit of fun. I was like, oh, interesting. He said, I don't expect to do very well. And he's up on like table 7. So, I mean, it's a great result for him. I think it's great to see. And I mean, it's Panos up on there with Bloodbound. It seems that Blades of Corn can still compete. Unless you're 80, then you're down the bottom. So.
Yeah, Warhammer Legend AD Max not had a good time with those, but he's got a quite quirky list. But then what's unfortunate, I think, for the results actually, to see how it pans out, is on table 5 we've got Daughters versus Daughters, which is always a little bit sad because we don't know what would happen there.
We don't know where that's going to pan out, and then. I mean, obviously one of them's going to win.
Yeah, one of them's got Marafi, and the other one doesn't, and it's got all the shooting, so it'd be interesting.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that pans out. I think I quite like the other list. He's got a Blood Rack Shrine, so that's really good against big units. So who knows? We'll see.
We are. So table 2 then, let's have a look. We've got Mixed Order versus Mixed Order, historically quite strong at the moment. Yeah,
and I think it's interesting to see. Brian's got obviously a lot more kind of big hitty monsters.
2 dragons, 2 frosties.
Yeah, whereas My Hill's got a lot more of the tricksy stuff. He's got some camo skinks and stuff in his list, and because of that, I mean, it's going to be a tough matchup. Obviously, both of them know each other's armies very well.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to come down to, I mean, obviously My Hill's got the big unit of dwarfs as well, so that's one unit that can actually use to bully the objectives.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. I think. I can't really spit close to call, really.
Yeah, I don't really know with that, because Chris plays interestingly. You can see he's got these dwarfs spread massively out to try and deny some space, but then he's got an Eidolon that he's using this weekend, and his dragon deployed in almost quite a deep second wave, so it'd be interesting.
The Eidolon, definitely a wave.
Yeah, literally a wave in this case. Yeah, and we've seen, again, it's off screen because the guys are playing over it at the moment, but there's bolt throwers are under a lot of pressure by the looks of it. We've got camo skinks all over it. We've got Canary Heart Renders on Chris's, so they're all trying to they know the game. You've got to kill those bolt throwers.
Well, it looks like the crew have already gone down on most of the bolt throwers, so really interesting. I think, for me, if I was going to call it, I'd probably go with Chris, because he's got the bodies in the big unit of dwarfs to bully the objectives, and he's got the Trixie with the camos to take out those bolt throwers. It looks like he's already done it, so yeah, I think it's going to be tough for Brian to come back from that, but we'll see. I mean, it's a lot of game to play, and who knows. Yeah,
and Brian does have that type of list that late game, if he has managed to grind through, he can have a lot of models to cap late game. Yeah. So just even if it's the one Frosty, this is a Frost Art Phoenix Frosty, but but no, I think if I was going to call it, if I was going to predict, we'll come back later and find out if it's true, I'd go with Chris on this. I think the slightly different list he's got is probably going to do him well on that.
Yeah, I mean, he's got table 3.
Yeah, let's have a look then. What we got?
So we've got Daughters of Cain, wielded by Liam Cook, who just lost to Pete Scody's Nagash last round, versus Kieran Harper using the Les TM build, but actually Liam was one of the architects of that list, along with myself.
Are you trying to claim publicly that Les Martin has got away with this? This branded list?
I do it on the podcast all the time. I think Kieran's probably a little bit nervous about Marafi, and I think a bit too nervous. So he seems to think he can't kill Marafi, so he's kind of avoiding her. But I think it might be a mistake. That might plague him, because she'll just go and clear all his units up.
Certainly in playtesting, she was killable. She has not that many wounds. So.
Oh, she's killable, but it's just because you have to do it over several turns. Yeah. It's what you give up over the game to do it, and he needs the combat power into those witches to take the numbers down, so they don't auto-cap the objectives. For me, it's tough, because the Stormcast have got the resilience, they've got the armour, and they kind of can handle the lots of attacks. Whereas the bodies in the Daughters army, they can capture objectives, but they're quite fragile. So, and there's some shooting in your list. I mean, the Stormcast list is so versatile. You've got Rolling Thunderhead, you've got the Judicators, you've got the Venator. You get the Hags out, you stop the being immune to battle shock, you can go in. So the Stormcast list is really daunting for the Daughters of Cain player. It doesn't really have a lot of mortal wound output, to be honest.
The Star Drake's probably pretty good against these big units.
Star Drake's amazing against big units.
I was trying to play it cool, but you're right.
No,
it's what it's built for,
it's good for. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be fighting Marafi with a Star Drake.
No.
So if I was Liam, I'd be trying to look for a way to get Marafi into that Star Drake. If you pin it in place, you should probably kill it, grind it off over the game, over those 4 rounds that you're going to survive. His bite doesn't work, his tail doesn't work. It's just the only thing is the Fulminators come in, and you capped at wounds, so she's just not going to die. No. You can't.
And even if she does, she's probably pinned it enough that
you've done enough damage that you can come back from it. So if I was Liam, that's what I'd be going for: is the Marafi into the Star Drake.
Yeah, I think that you're right. It's probably a good call, that one. It's interesting as well. I know we spoke about this earlier on an earlier video, but the Cauldron of Blood is particularly punchy, so it's going to take a thing. Also, there's a lot of model count. I mean, you can see it on camera now. The amount of bodies that witches that Daughter's army has can be daunting for the small elite Stormcast player, I think, as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of women to get through. So
yeah, there is.
But yeah, it's definitely good. So I think if we look at table 4, then we've got a what we call I think it's the Plague Touched Maggot King Archeon Glotkin build, facing off against Matt Leon's sort of more balanced Zinch army, where he's got Enlightened, he's got Skyfires, bit of Horrors, Gaunt Summon, a Lord of Change. So I think it's a really tough matchup for Matt, because those Marauders are horrendous. Trying to get through those is so much hard work.
They've certainly got across there quick as well, considering where they
Nurgle, it's so easy to get across the table.
Yeah.
You've got the wheel to get your +2 move. You can run and charge if you're in range of the tree.
Yeah, you can see the tree in the middle of the board there. And they
same with Archons. So it's also like Darren's just really put the pressure on. And sort of with the Marauders as well, being such a big unit, and I think all the match units are 10s or less. So with that big unit of Marauders, he can just trump the objective. Just say, well, that's 2.
Yeah.
And then I'm stuck in you. You're on me. I've got 2 wounds because I've put the Fleshy Abundance on and the Glotkin, so that's doubled their wounds. You're -3 to hit me. Come, go for it. See what you can do. And I think it's going to be a really tough matchup for Matt, especially now that Darren's got the initiative of the board position.
And it's a similar thing to what you were saying earlier. He's playing on his objectives, isn't he? He's gone quite in. It's that balance. He's got a second wave that's very strong and hard to remove on his own, albeit low model count. But when you have to wade through all those multiple wounds Marauders, it could be tough.
Not sure if we're going to see some Horror splitting, or because he's got a lot of blues and brims. So with the pinks dying, he's probably at the end of this phase. He's going to put the blues on the table. He probably, if I was Matt, I'd use those to tie those units into combat, and I'd just retreat out the way. I think he's got a Balewind, so he's got his Gaunt Summoner sat there. He could probably Balewind him up, denies that board space, try and get the spell off on the big unit, try and do as many mortal wounds as he can. And then he'll be within range to unbind the Abundance next turn. So I mean, Matt's not out of the game. It's you can't really tell. I mean, he's got a unit of Skyfires basically untouched, which can come around the back of the board. Probably take the Glotkin out, to be honest, in one round, or go for the unit of Marauders on the back objective and just cap it on that and just say, well, that's 2 points for me. So, he's got options, and he's still. There's one objective. It's basically unguarded by Darren.
I saw that.
There's nobody on it. So
top left of the screen,
yeah.
I mean, I presume we've got some what looks like maybe is Enlightened on discs that are probably dead. This is a dead pile.
Yeah,
on the
he's got 2 left in combat. But if I was Matt, I would retreat those out. Just run towards that objective.
I mean, Matt certainly felt a little confident when I spoke to him just before the game about his ability to deal with those Marauders because of the Summoner, but maybe he hadn't anticipated how quick they were going to be.
No. Well, to be honest, the Summoner's still there. I mean, Darren doesn't have any shooting really. So the Gaunt Summoner, as long as he doesn't get unbound, straight up on that Balewind, it'd be tough to deal with. There's a lot of change there. He's still got Gateway. He's still got all the options there. I think, and again, he's going to split out, and he's going to just time up the Horrors, use the splitting, get round the back with the Skyfires, who are untouched, retreat out with the Enlightened. 2 Enlightened on disc is enough to capture that back objective. Definitely. They're tough to get rid of. I mean, they've still going to have like 7 or 8 wounds in there, depending on how much damage they've taken. And I think it's almost a little bit like make Darren commit, and then from that spread out and start actually playing the scenario. And I think Zinch are really strong in scenario play. And you've got the Destiny dice as well, guarantee some battle shocks, things like that. So I think Matt's a really good player. I mean, at the end of the day, he knows what he's doing. But so is Darren. Darren's been up there. He's been using sort of quirkiness like Crotonado and things like that.
Yeah.
He was saying to me that him and Dan Ford actually collaborated on army lists, so they got the same army basically.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, it did look like that. What's interesting, I always think about Darren's list, and also Chris, who I play a lot. They both do this. Is they tend to gravitate more than I would towards big stuff that does stuff and lower unit count. So like you can see, Darren's gone Glotkin and Archeon. And then he's got this big brick, and then not a lot else.
No.
But seems to be very competitive with it, similar to how he did with some of the other
It's a little
things.
bit like the Vanguard wing. You've got one big unit, and everything else is there to support that one unit.
Yeah.
So it's the same with this, really. You've got one big unit of Marauders, and all the characters, like the Disgusting Resilience save, the Fleshy Abundance, the Blades Putrefaction, all that is just there to buff that unit. There's no, and it's Marauders. I mean, you think Marauders, what? Why that unit? It's cheap. You just have lots of them. And I think, it could be Plague Monks. I've seen that before, and that's really strong. But obviously Marauders battle line, so...
Yeah.
So no great choice for that.
Should we, Liam has got 2 seconds, so should we see if he wants to talk to us on, have you got 2 seconds? Can we spare you while your opponent's in the toilet? So we're going to speak to Liam Cook here, who's doing very well for himself, consistently does well on the tournament scene. So how's the game going? You happy?
Yeah, so I got really lucky. Kieran chucked a relictor at my Canary. They just held on, which I was very happy about. So he didn't get the objective, didn't score 2. Then he's just lost a priority roll, so going into 2, I'm very close to charge distance away. I'm holding 3 of the objectives. I've got another unit of Canary ready to come down and just pip off some stuff. So unless something terrible happens, I think it's gonna be a nice little blessing to Cain, I think.
Cool. Just before he comes back, what's your plans for Marafi?
Yeah, we were discussing this a minute ago, so.
I was going to turn her around and retake the relictor objective, so I get 2 points. But I think what I'm going to do is put pressure on him towards the Liberators and Judicators, so that he has to turn his Star Drake around. Because the last thing I wanted to do is Rolling Thunder one of my units. Even though I've got a 6 up, like he's going to put more wounds through.
Yeah, cool. Not far off what we were discussing. Yeah, brilliant. Great. I'll let you back. Yeah, cheers. So yeah, there you go. So it's a similar idea. He's not bothered obviously about the Star Drake coming back. He's just it's similar idea.
I think what he is bothered about that Rolling Thunder had going into his army.
Yes.
So for me, like I mean, you didn't mention it, but I know you said using Marafi to kill the units in the backfield. And I guess it's a good way to play it. Is you kill the scoring units. And what that allows you to do is the Star Drake could be in one place. Yeah. But it's never going to be winning the game on its own.
It's one of the things that actually, so the Stormcast Eternals, we've seen that they're putting out a good performance this tournament. We've got Vanguard Wing on 1, obviously, and we've got a Stormcast list here, but you don't see them these days. They're very polar. They're a bit like everything. They need a bit good play.
Yeah.
I think one of the downsides to it is when you've got the Star Drake, it's exactly that. It needs to be played well because it is just one thing. When you see the mixed order list like we got on 2 with 2 Dragons, 2 Frosties, you can be in a lot of places at once, but you obviously can't with the Stormcast.
Yeah, you've got redundancy, whereas a lot of the key, whenever I play against a Star Drake, sometimes you go, well, I can't actually kill it. Sometimes you don't need to kill it. You just need to make it so it can only be effective in one area of the board, and then make your opponent answer questions. That if the Star Drake's the only answer, you can't be in 4 places at once. So,
no.
It's just you play around it, and that's a bit like when you play against Nagash. When you play against Nagash is an absolute beat stick powerhouse. He's the god of the dead. He's amazing, but he can only be in one place. Yeah. So if you play around the scenario and you've got a list which can be a little bit more flexible, I think that's where you shine through really. And it's keeping your eye on those scenario points. So be interested to see how it plans out. But
yeah, he seems pretty confident about it. So,
I think so. Yeah.
I think he was talking to me before the game and he thought this draw could happen. I think he was pretty confident of a result here. So be interesting. So I think what we'll do, we'll have a little break and then we'll come back and see how this pans out, because I think there's a couple of tight games, especially the one on 2. I think we're going to see the one on 1. Pete Scoley's looking like he's got his head in his hands. So I think he's had enough. Maybe he's done. And we're back. So quite a bit of time has passed since the last bit. We're going to go and have a look around and just update you now on the games. So let's get straight into it. Table 1.
Let's go.
Yeah. So this one's been interesting. Russ, you were talking about a few different options. So what's occurred?
Yeah, well, it seems like Jack went in quite early and took out the skeleton unit, which was over on one of the objectives away from Nagash. Nagash came across to try and do some damage to the Liberators, but didn't really do a lot. And then Jack, because of Vanguard Wing, because he keeps Prosecutors alive, he can pick the Liberators back up and put them on the other side. And because in this scenario you need 20 models to auto-cap, he can just split his attacks and take both units below 20, and then he can go, right, I scored 2. And then although Pete can heal back up, after the fighting he's probably down below 20 again. So it's quite difficult for Pete because Nagash is not doing enough damage to clear out the Liberators. I actually think it's probably the wrong choice to use Nagash to try and kill the Liberators. I would have sent him off and clearing off the other scoring units and the buff pieces to go after the Prosecutors, and try and get points that way. So when that turn that Pete had, where he pulled Nagash across to try and save one objective, I would have just gone straight over the top and gone straight into where the Castellan and the Judicators were and try and kill the Castellan. You kill the Castellan, those Liberators are a lot easier to kill. He's got the big Grave God block there. He's still healing. I just think it's a little bit of a misplay. You can see that Pete's also regenerating his units with his Nagash ability, but I don't think Nagash is doing enough damage to those Liberators, and by the end of the game he's going to be so far behind on points that he won't be able to come back.
No, it'd be interesting to know the scores actually. You might be able to ask in a minute, because I'm looking at the dead pile and it looks like there's 7 Liberators there, so it should be below the 20. But
he's got 30, so.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah, he has. He has. Yeah, no, there's a lot of them down there, isn't there? So, and as you can see from the skeleton dead pile, quite a few skellies have.
Yeah, he's lost an entire unit of skellies, and probably lost the other unit as well. I think they're still kicking around. It's very difficult to tell because they were like double stacked on one objective. But I think Nagash now is pinned by the libs, which is not a great position to be in. He kind of needs to be there, like killing the liberators, and he needs to be free really to go off and do his damage. So I think it's a bit of a mistake because Nagash could go around and clear off a unit a turn.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. It'd be interesting actually. I think we'll find out what turn they're on. Pete, what turn are you on? Turn four. And who's up on points? 13-3 to you. Yeah. So 13-3 to Jack at the moment.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's
I think when you're fighting on the other person's objectives, you're scoring 2 a turn for the 2 that Pete's not near, and then you're also scoring on Pete's objectives. You're going to be far higher up.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds like it's probably going Jack's way on that. I would have said. I think that sounds pretty, barring a few miracles. So, table 2's looking good. Ooh, tight. We've been told it's 6-5 on turn what? Turn? Oh, so you've done 2. Yeah, so okay, we're at the bottom of 3 then, and it's 6-5 to Chris, who's this side of the board. Interesting. Positionally, looks quite interesting game.
Looks quite close, doesn't it? You've got Brian's got some of his Canary on the sides. He's still got his Frost Hearts. It's going to be interesting. I think Brian's looking quite in a strong position.
I'm looking at that, thinking of that exactly. Yeah, he looks happy. So.
I think he's looking in a very good position here.
It might be what we were saying earlier. I was talking about having played both these guys being my 2 regular opponents. Is that Brian's list can really grind you, and you run out of models eventually. It might take a few turns of going down on the scenario, but when you ain't got any models left near the end, it could be hard to get it back. So, but yeah, no, he is looking good, and I think there's wound dice there on the Eidolon as well. Looks like he's taken a lot, and I can't see any wound markers on Brian's stuff. So
no, exactly. So
yeah, should be interesting.
No, looking good.
Yeah, and then we're back on to 3. That's looking interesting. We've actually got Kieran here. As we've not got Liam, let me just ask him a quick question. Liam, Kieran, I always call you Liam, I don't know why. As Liam's disappeared, is this looking a bit better for you? No? Oh, I saw you looking up at the sky earlier. What was all that about? Oh, okay, you lost. Yeah. Yeah, there's a priority roll lost. Oh, yeah.
No, it's gone all right. We didn't kill them.
Yeah, brilliant. I've just been explained. So yeah, there's a combat in the middle there going on with some witches and some concussors. And Kieran presumed they died, but they didn't die. So which is good. And the Star Drake's in contact there, which doing what he does. So that's what you were saying, Russ. That Star Drake is going to get to do something. I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a problem piece. And those units are very fragile. So I still think Kieran's in with a shout here.
Yeah. Doesn't look over, does it? What's the score? 6-1. Oh, okay. So you've only played.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great. So it's still early doors. 6.
Especially if Kieran gets a double on the flip flop.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking at that. I don't think it's too bad. I think he's probably been a bit pessimistic.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But I think that might be his undoing because he's a bit worried about Marafa. I think he's probably a bit overly tentative about it.
Yeah.
So I actually think if he just chips her away every turn, gets a double, use Adjudicator to shoot off the Canary. He's got a Relictor over by that objective. So I think it's tricky, isn't it? It's tricky.
Yeah. 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 It looks like a good game though.
Yeah.
This on to table 4 then. How is that looking? It doesn't, from this angle where I'm standing, doesn't look too good for the Zincher, is it?
I don't know. Like, where's Darren's stuff? I can't see anything. He's got.
We're looking now.
Can't really see much of his models left.
There's not many models on the board, is there, in this game? What's left?
What's alive? What's dead,
boys? Yeah. So we've got first turn charge. Yeah. Yeah.
It allowed me to deal with a unit 40 Marauders, doing multiple wounds on 5s, but Skyfires. So Archeon just went, take them off.
Oh, okay, so that was the Balewind popped up. You killed the Marauders, but the 3-inch displacement shoved Archeon into combat with the Skyfires, did it? Oh no. Yeah.
3-inch measure, and it was touching. It was that close.
Interesting. What's the scenario score at the minute? What's the score on the scenario?
I'm winning 4-3, but it's his turn.
You're winning 4-3, but yeah, it's Darren's turn. Okay, what turn? Ah, wow. This is turn 2 you're looking at then. Yeah. Brilliant.
Amazing.
Yeah. Who knows what's going on there? It's actually not as bad for the Zinch as it looks, but then
I don't know if the Lord of Change is dead or alive, or the Glockkin. I don't know, but
yeah, is that Lord of Change alive, guys? Sorry. Oh, okay, great.
is Glockkin alive as well? Yeah, that's all alive.
That's a combat, is it?
What about this? Just the Skyfires? Oh, okay, right.
Yeah. So the big stuff's still alive. So yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's still quite close. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got Horrors and Blues fighting Marauders, and I think Marauders die to that, don't they?
Yeah. Should get ground out with the shooting. Yeah.
I mean, especially if you've still got reinforcements to pop more on. I don't know. But
Yeah.
when he gets the Horrors into Blues with the shooting, I mean, and then he could just run a unit across. If he's got a unit of Blues and the Pinks, he could just run across to that objective at the back. It's 2 more points. So I don't think it's over yet. I mean, Icon can only be in one place. That's what you said before, haven't we?
Yeah.
And and it is very close. I don't know.
I think the only downside will be if the it depends on mortal wound output, I suppose, in bits and pieces. But if Archaon's got enough turn to get across the board and kill these things, but he is going to look at the end of quite a few turns of being down on score, isn't he? I would have thought. So depending on what goes on. Yeah.
So
It's going to be tight, but let's
I don't
certainly
think
not
it's
over.
game over.
No. Interesting. So it sounds like a few of the games in balance. It sounds like table 1 might be over, we think. That sounds too bad, but the rest of them seem very tight.
What are you thinking then? Jack, Brian, then...
Ooh, I think Liam's going to win, but not because Kieran couldn't, but because he thinks he's lost.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I know Kieran's a very conservative player, and he's also he always errs on the side of pessimism. But I'm going with Kieran.
Cool. Oh, that's the one.
Out.
Yeah, and I think Darren's going to win here on this one.
I'm going for Matt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have some controversy.
We're going to have some controversy.
I reckon Matt's going to Trixie's in shit and
Yeah,
get it back.
he is. Because neither of them look happy about it.
No,
so.
They both look like they're losing, so I don't know who's winning.
No, they both look done. 6 games,
exactly.
too much. But there you go. So that's probably the update for now. We'll come back later when there's a few more added up, and we'll go from there. Hello, welcome back. So this is it. The last countdown. We've got half an hour left of the round to go. Round 6 of the South Coast GT 2018. Russ, predictions went pretty way we thought we would, didn't we? Went man at the table by the looks of it.
Yeah, I think so, apart from mine.
Yeah.
Because I was just trying to be different, but it didn't quite work. But
no.
Jack kind of won out on table 1. We're still playing, but
yeah, they're still playing behind us here, but it's well out. So.
And then table 2 seemed like quite a close game, and Chris managed to win there.
Yeah. So. Which we're going to pull one or both of those guys on mic in a minute, just to have a chat about their weekend.
And we're not sure about table 3, still going on, but it does look like Kieran's losing that game.
Yeah. There's
ball position.
Yeah, ball position, because he's actually killed the Star Trek, has cleared a lot of stuff up looking at it, but I looked over the shoulder and they're actually drawn at the moment on points, so I think with half an hour to go they've got to speed up to get those in probably, and then table 4 was a bit of a washout for the Zinch player in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I thought maybe with the shenanigans and splitting, I don't know how many summoning points he's got with the Balewind cost. Maybe he couldn't add more blues and brims. I know he's got 20 blues and 20 brims in his box, but he might have spent those points to get the Balewind out. Yeah. So then he didn't have the splitting to get the other models on the table. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame really, but I mean, I think Archon Glockkin's tough draw, and I think Matt said he made the mistake where when he Balewinded, he pushed Archeon into range of his Skyfires, and Archeon just killed all the Skyfires, which was the unit he was going to use to go and bully the other objectives. So I think when we looked at it, we didn't see that was going to happen. So I think, nor did Matt actually, but I think basically if he had the Skyfires hadn't been tagged by Archeon, then he would have been in a really good position. So.
No, good. So yeah, interesting time on the top, and we've got to remember that this tournament's so tight that although these results are important, we're going to see when the other tables come in, we could see leapfrogs appearing because they're all on similar points. So kill points is being the second separator, going to be interesting, I think. But I'm hoping what we can do now is just quickly grab a couple of the players that played here to come and talk to us briefly about what they go on. Russ is disappearing. He's off to judge and do bits and pieces. So we've got Chris here, Chris Myhill, and Brian Carmichael, both of which have been on the podcast. So there you go, Faces for Radio, we're all here. So guys, you played each other in that last game. You ended up winning, Chris. So just briefly tell us about your mixed order list, because you had the Eidolon, that's a new model. What's the deal? What you got on your list?
I can't remember the name, so I've got the big wave guy, the sea aspect, the dragon, the sea, what's the name of the Seals King guy? I can't remember his name. Yeah.
The special character one.
And then I've got a unit of my 40 warriors, love me warriors.
Dwarf warriors.
Yeah. And then I've got 2 bolt shooters and 2 units of chameleon skinks. And the idea is just literally hold with the dwarfs and deal with the chameleon skinks, deal with what's going to hurt, and the dragons just get in your face.
Brilliant. And how many wins did you have over the weekend?
I've won all of them.
Brilliant. Was one a minor?
2 are a minor.
2 are a minor. Yeah, so yeah, they're good. You got to be happy with that, considering.
To tell you what, I've just had a brilliant game with Brian, and I got lucky. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I got lucky, very lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame we had on the top row we had mixed order, and then we've got daughters further down. So it would have been nice from a race point of view, I think, to see a few different.
I got lucky. Yeah, that was a good game. Yeah. I got so lucky.
Brilliant. Good. And what about the Eidolon itself? So obviously listeners, as they're listening to this, if they're seeing it, will have only seen this model's only come out a couple of weeks. So did it perform well?
It did, yeah, because where it can heal itself and it can sort of like still, because the way I equip it, I sort of make it really aggressive. So it's like extra attack, extra damage. It's coming in, it's just doing what it needs to do, and then it can heal itself with the spells, and it can make people -1 within range. It does sort of like debuff and get in the mix of it, and then just free up save as well. So you're not going anywhere, and you're quick with it, and 12 wounds. And because it's got where it takes a wound, it doesn't go down like most big things do. It's really, really good.
Brilliant.
Really, really good.
Well, well done on the weekend, mate. And I'm interested to see, possible podium, depending. I mean, it's a very tight bracket you're in.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I've had a good weekend.
Yeah. Good. Excellent. Well, well done. And I'm sure you and I will play a game very soon. I want to see what this Eidolon's all about. So, Brian.
Hi.
Commiseration. South Coast GT is a bit of your bogey tournament. You tend to play up on this tables a lot and don't quite get there, but you've got to be happy with the weekend overall.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. 2 really good games. So one against Chris, one against Ricky Me. They were the games I lost, but they were the most enjoyable games of the weekend. So yeah, that both really, really tight little margins. Bit of dice either way, could have gone either way. So no, it's really good.
And I take it with the list, you got very aggressive, 2 Frost Start, 2 Dragon mixed order list. I take it you've racked up a ton of kill points over the weekend?
Some.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, playing Nagash twice is 1,600 points you're not going to get, and also playing Archeon once is another bunch of points you're not going to get. So that's really what hasn't died, apart from the game against Chris. So generally, it's been pretty much tabling opponents, but those 3 kind of big critters are hard to deal with. So typically, when you play those lists, you kill everything around them, and that allows you to get the scenario. So yeah, no, it's been really good as always. Yeah, it is my bogey tournament. It always seems to be a couple of little things that just, every year get me at it. So yeah.
Good, but a good way to end up. Obviously, playing on table 2, you can't ask too much. 4 wins. That's got to be a top 20 easy, isn't it? I would have thought. Yeah, I would have thought so. So good result overall. So well done, mate.
Better than last year, which was a horrible year last year. So
yeah. Oh yeah, you had a bit of a different sad one, didn't you, in the end? But
no, it's really good as always.
Good. Well, that's it. That's it. We're done. Round 6 is over. I'm sure we might do a quick wrap-up video. So this might not be our last one. Brian's off to go and cry. And as you can see, table 1 is still technically be playing. There's a lot dead actually on both sides, but I think that's going to be that. I think we're already done on the scenario point. So I think that's us. So I hope you've enjoyed the videos over the weekend. I think we've been able to bring you quite a bit of gameplay. I'm sure if you're listening to the podcast, that's heelanhammer.com. Make sure you subscribe on all your different RSS feeds, and you can hear the full story. I'm sure we'll have Jack, who's on camera now, on the show at some point just to cover off his win and his list, because it's an interesting one. If you haven't seen how the Vanguard win works, it's good to be able to see some of the board positions we've seen over this video, so go play it back and if you had a look. That's it, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. I know we don't do a lot very often in terms of this coming out annually, but what we do hopefully is good for you. So thanks for joining us, and we may see you on a wrap-up video in the near future. See you then.